Oh, we are live.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DESIGNathon. We are with two queen titans of conversation design today. I am super stoked to be with my friends and my glorious co-host Manaz. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Manaz, want to say hi?
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi again. I'm again back. I don't know if it's the thing. We have two amazing guests today that I would like them to introduce themselves. Cynthia, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Manaz. Hello, everyone. I'm Cynthia Leimbach. I am an AI CX CD architect with University of Phoenix, and I'm also a two-time founder of Creative Content Services, and more importantly, Help Now Incorporated, my incredible global volunteer organization you may know about, some of us around the world. We created an AI agent last year to help survivors navigate wildfires and real time with verified data. So that, and the most important part is probably I am a Native American medicine woman who designs AI through the lens of the divine feminine. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Hillary.
I just love that intro. It all makes so much sense to me, Cynthia. And yeah, so happy to be here. I am Hillary Black, and I am the head of brand and also conversation design at Mav, which is an AI agent that is for the insurance industry for P&C insurance, and we do SMS and voice AI. We do a lot of outreach, lead follow-up, lead generation, that type of industry. And I also am very active within the conversation design community. I have an online community that is in Facebook. I also have an online course with UX Content Collective and do some career coaching there. I just absolutely love to keep up with the conversation design community, create content through LinkedIn, Facebook, everything, everywhere. You'll pretty much find me if it is online and about conversation design.
Interesting. Thank you.
And a mom to your 3-year-old.
And a mom to a 3-year-old, yes.
Doing all that with a 3-year-old running around. Respect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's busy over here.
Yeah.
And we're all empowered women here. We're all mothers, and that's no mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So I think one of the things that's so interesting about us and the work we do and everything that's been going on is the speed of change, and how some people thrive. I feel like everybody here is thriving. Some people are really suffering through it too. And I'm just curious if you can each take a turn telling me kind of just the story arc of like where your work was last year, where it is today, and where you think it might be down the road, because it's fast and we're all having slightly different experiences. So I'd love to hear from you ladies on you know, how was it? How is it right now? And where do you think it's going?
I mean, and that's the big question, right? I want to talk. I'm not going to give you it was deterministic and now it's probabilistic. That's BS. The truth is, for me, that AI isn't replacing humanity. It's an extension of humanity. So my ancestors, we used observation and patterns and weather and stories and, to keep our people alive. And today we're calling that data. So the tools have changed, but the responsibility hasn't. And all I'm saying is, I do what I do, and I've worked with the power of words to help people for so many years now. My intention is the same. The technology is changing, and I'm so excited, like I shared before we began today. Everything's moving so fast, and if you're brave enough to learn it and adopt and adapt and have people by your side smarter than you in different ways so that you can contribute to this as a whole, I think that's the secret sauce. That's where the magic for me lives. And just being empowered by those people in your tribe, right? So that's my answer. It's a little woo-woo, but that's my truth.
Yeah, I love that. And like for mine too, I think thinking about a year ago, it really feels like it was like before that. So I also was sharing before we started, that 3 years ago I was on maternity leave, and that was when ChatGPT kind of like came into be. So I had taken some time off, and I basically was living in world before ChatGPT and before every person on the entire internet and the entire world, my mom, etc., knows what AI is now. And then coming back and not knowing what that meant for me and for my career as a conversation designer. And I 100% for certain had like a major freak out of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I am so behind. I'm not with this. So like probably a feeling that a lot of people are having now, or that have been having over the past couple of years, of just like, it seems like everyone knows more than me and everyone knows what they're doing and no one's sharing information and all of that. And like none of that, I think, like looking back, really was true. Like we're all trying to figure it out. And if anything, you know, sometimes I think companies are not wanting people to share what they're working on or something like that. But it's less about kind of, we're all figuring this out together, and everyone's doing it differently. And there doesn't really seem to be a wrong way to do it. So it really has kind of like accelerated everything over the past couple of years. But I also just feel like, I mean, for me, and as you said, like I am okay with things changing all the time. Like I work at a startup, you know, one of our core values is just like we figure it out. So I certainly have taken that approach to everything of like figuring it out. Okay, I don't know this. Today I'm going to sit down and learn it, and I'm going to go ask these people, and then I have these other questions. I'm wondering about evals. I'm wondering about what platforms people are using or what process people are using. So just going to collect that information, trying it, you know, sitting with your team and saying, how are we going to build this? And then we're like, that's not really working. We need to change to do something different. And really the major changes have kind of just been having your system to be able to catch up. So like having, if you were in like a rules-based environment, you can't just like slap AI onto that and then everything works perfectly. Like there's a lot of undoing. So I think that that's kind of like what's changing. But if anything, like the access to information and then, you know, the acceptance of our work has grown, and I think will continue to grow. And it's almost like we're starting over. Like when conversation design was first becoming popular in, you know, 2016, 2017, we were trying to tell people like, this is important, and they, you know, agreed or they didn't. And now we're kind of going through that whole thing again. People think, oh, I can do this myself. I can just like have these agents write themselves. And then they're figuring out very quickly that that is not the case. So I think we're just continuing on with the cycle. Now it's just has a different skin on it.
There's so many questions I want to ask. Have you noticed a difference in client expectations since all the hype? Or what even what they're asking for, it's like, that's not real.
Yeah, I think a small circle of leaders get it, right? Like, you know, the ones who are moving mountains and going with the flow. I have a CEO and a VP and a senior PM in my life who are allowing us to launch what I'm calling agents with soul. And they're asking themselves and talking to their colleagues, the C-suite before, and saying, who does this serve? That's what they're asking, not how quickly can we scale. And it's a more mindful approach. And that is what's empowering us to do the work the right way.
And that's very rare.
It's so rare, right? It's so rare. Like, but if you honestly, like all of us, if we could geek out and make this session twice as long, I know we have some prompts that we're super fucking proud of right now, right? Like they are 10x from where we were writing 10 years ago or a year ago. And there is an art to that. There is a beauty to that, right? We're sitting on some magic to pull in psychology. And I'm just so excited about what's going on behind the scenes and what our role really, really entails. And when you tell me like, hey, we need a financial aid agent, or we need the enrollment, we need this one, man, that is super exciting. Hillary, you feeling me?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the expectations certainly are higher now that the average person has access to so much. But it also has kind of like, that's a good thing. Like, I think it has sped up the entire time. Like before, Mav is like a product. So we don't necessarily allow all of our users to create everything. They're kind of opting into what we have already set as like the way things should be. But when we were consulting in the past, we had to spend so much time just being like, this is what a chatbot is. This is why you should have one, you know, and now all of that is gone. And so it's almost like the customers who really get it are becoming much more collaborative, and what they're asking for, they're like, oh, could you be doing this? You know, could you be saying this instead? Could you be going a little bit further down? Like, how can this handoff work? Or how can we, you know, infuse our like specific things that we're building on top of this? Like, how can we add more use cases for things that are more proprietary? And just the questions and the conversations are very different. And it's so much less about the education of like why you should have this. And it's more about what are the ways that you can use this, and where can you put this into your existing workflows and your existing team. And that has been such a refreshing change, just because I feel like we're not having the same conversations over and over, and we're not justifying like, this is why you need this, because they realize that. And the people who don't realize that, you know, they're not going to become customers, and that, and it's kind of like shortening that as well, which can be a good thing too.
So this is a hot one for me. What do you say to traditional UX UI designers who say that chatbots are a garbage experience, it's a garbage UI, there's no context, people don't know how to use them, all those things? My personal response is, if you're using a chatbot, that sucks. That's not the designer's fault. That's usually leadership. Too short of a timeline, too little funding, just fix X, Y, and Z and just get it out there. MVP, just get it out there. And that's not the way this stuff should work. And it's not the way you create an experience that is a good experience. So I'm curious what your response, because I'm sure you've all heard it.
Yeah. Usually I say, have you heard of conversation design? Like, because you need it, like, have you heard of it? That kind of thing. I feel like that's a lot. There still are a lot of bad experiences. There probably will always be. That's kind of just the way things go. But typically it's more of that, this is either something that shouldn't exist in the first place, or it just hasn't really been thought through and needs to be reevaluated. And it most certainly didn't include a conversation designer when it was being created. And so what are we going to do about that kind of thing?
So I have a question that just came to my mind. Why Siri is so stupid still with all those improvements?
I don't know.
We'll have to have Polly and Rupa on one day and ask them. They were Alexa. I'm sorry. Yeah. You can say the same thing. That's not the best either.
We need to invite someone from Apple, from the conversation design team, to answer
we were talking about frequencies last night at dinner, and there's a very gracious way to say, in the pineal gland, and how people are dumbing down, and it's not their fault. It's through a lot of things, but really how people are operating from their highest level of frequency, and evidently sometimes it's not that high. So I wonder what conversations, that's the nicest way to say it. I wonder what conversations Siri is growing from. And so I consider the source, right? Let's come back to that. Yeah.
Look within.
Well, I think that kind of is the root of a lot of what's the most difficult about what we do, is people can say anything. And
in any way too, in any way, like anything, anyway. Yeah. And
you have to be prepared for that. Like, right. Good conversation designers live in that failure state and those unknowns. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Like I said, I use psychology for that. So I'm creating archetypes so that my systems are extracting your sentiment, your keywords, your primary archetype. And so I'm mirroring that. We want to mirror a lot, I think. And this goes back to my divine feminine lens, right? I feel like a lot of conversation design and the bad bots you spoke to earlier, Anne, those are very waterfall ladder type masculine energies. And they're only showing half our face. The divine feminine isn't the soft side here. It's the missing half of the circle. You have intuition and data, empathy and scale, right? Energies, not genders. And I want the whole human in the loop. This is supposed to be a very fluid sacred circle not a circle jerk. Let me be clear. And what keeps coming up with that is the fear around AI. Let's go back to the beginning. And everyone's talking about how smart it is and how fast it is. But I think that's the wrong question. It's not how intelligent is your AI. It's, can people trust it when they're scared? When people are experiencing fear about their insurance policy with you, Hillary, or their education with me and how they're going to pay for school, or, like, can they even do it with their ADHD? Whatever the person's vulnerability is, that's who we're designing for, right? You've got to have more than just data to make it a whole experience and psychology on a very deep, sincere level. And so, again, feeling very blessed that I get to bring that to this space, because it is very rare. It's very rare. It's not logic based. Anyone who knows me says, no, don't give her that job.
I mean, I'm curious too, is there anything, because you've been thinking about the vulnerabilities and like what you're designing for, Cynthia, is like, are there things that you leave out of the experience and leave for the human? So like there's things that we'll talk about where when you are filing a claim, you don't want to make a phone call and like hit an agent. Like that's not something that you want to do. You want to talk to a person. You don't want to have to go through the menu. Like you want to just live and like let that stress out kind of thing. So are there things like that where you are kind of like handing those off, or where you're making that available that a person can speak to someone who can truly understand their situation, or and not kind of just like trigger this of like, I don't want this to not work during this time, that type of thing?
So 100%, Hillary. Sorry, Anne. Like we used to say EP meant, or it does in design, entry point. But to me, it's an empowered moment, right? It's an empowered point where the systems, and this is where I'm new to voice. I've only been designing in voice for 2 years, and I love it. So introducing that channel early on in the experience, like, hey, here's the number you can call anytime to get all of this. Because if that's where your comfort level is, or you're not fully sighted, or there's a good reason why you would prefer this route, go for it. I'd prefer that you have a chat with my agent and stay in the funnel. And we're smart enough now that we can do all the things, right? But I've always thought that when you come to mental health issues, or for my field, leave of absence, there are certain topics in different domains that are human topics. And they require, that's what I'm talking about when I say the sacred, the whole full, that we have to empower those. And we call it a human in the loop. But I want it to just be like the whole human in the room. And so, yes, absolutely. There are many topics, depending again on your clients and your domains. They will be different, but it's incredibly important that we provide that.
Especially for health related like circumstances, like they need, like we need, like when I'm in hard situation, when I like someone I love is sick, I don't want to talk to a robot or chatbot. I want to talk to a human who has empathy and can like talk to me the way a human does. Like, although some humans are worse than robots, but like, at least they are humans.
I think at least in those situations, hopefully they're kind of like more trained. And it too is like a case-by-case basis type of thing, because I have worked in like financial services before, of like debt consolidation and things like that, where people would rather not talk to a person and they will be more honest and they will feel more comfortable just knowing like I can share this. There's not a person judging me. It's kind of just like, this is just the intake form, So I think it also is kind of case by case, but that is going to, again, be up to us to decide which things go where, like who, when and where does the human kind of step in, and when are they just like behind the scenes making sure that it's working.
Exactly. Oh, I had this experience like the last time we had a problem and called Verizon. It goes like first the agent answered, and it was like it couldn't understand our question, and it said like, I need to connect you to a representative, and okay, and we did that, and it connected us to a representer, but the representer was also an agent. I can swear to my life that it was another agent, but smarter than the other one. And it was so good. And we couldn't say like for sure that it's an agent, and we couldn't say for sure that it's not.
Nice.
That was amazing. And it could understand anything that we were saying. That was like impressive. And because like as immigrant, we have like this accent, not the agents can fully understand us. Like we have so many problems other than like native people, like the problems that native people have with these chatbots and agents. But like it was so good that could understand us fully without asking us to repeat, without like anything. I'm still wondering if it was an agent or a representative.
Well, shout out Stephanie Reimer, works conversation design at Verizon. We'll ask her.
Ooh,
Love
yeah.
that.
Well, I'll DM her after we're done and find out. But that's interesting, because I wonder if they handed you off to something that was generative. And you know, the thing with generative, you can have these experiences that you're like, wow, that was amazing. But then you can call back with the same problem and speak to that same generative agent and not get the same response. And that's where a lot of our work lies, is that consistency. Have you guys worked around keeping your generative agents consistent? And if so, what are some of your tips and tricks for people out there working on that?
Oh my gosh. That's a loaded question, Anne. That's like, that's the real deal. And yes, I've worked on, I told you I'm 2 years and I love voice. And I was thinking of early prompting days. Excuse me, I need to charge my computer. Early prompting days where we did exactly what Manaz was saying, like prompting for all voices and all accents and like, you know, tapping the system back and forth and, you know, testing to get the sweet spot where it was delivering the outputs. And now I forgot your question.
Consistency with generative. I mean, I think if you ask that question to Claude, it'll probably give you a list of 10 ways, right? Like keep the agent very narrow, some tips and tricks for your prompting. For me, I think where a lot of companies cheap out where they shouldn't is testing and long-term evals. And it's different. This is the thing. Conversation design is different every single place that you work. So I was just curious if you've encountered that and how you kind of design around it, and if you've also your feelings around testing, because I personally, I feel like that is the biggest thing that gets rushed that shouldn't. They'll do some QA, or now they'll do like automated QA and call it a day. And I just think you might be saving in the short term, but you're losing financially in the long term. So I'm curious what you think about how you're handling that, and what's working and what isn't.
So I'll say, sorry, Hillary, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Oh, no, I was going to say too, even like with the tips of like staying consistent, and both for this too is like, and in more regulated industries and everything, we still design like hybrid conversations. So we still have things that are like hard coded. It sometimes causes problems just because it's like, it's only saying this and it's always going to say this and it's not going to, but where it makes sense of like specific questions that you need to have this answer to, and then you can kind of use it in the in between, people are responding with other things, or it can be like layered on top where it phrases the question differently, but like this is the question, like this is the thing that we need to know. And that's kind of like a use case specific thing. So if you're doing qualification, you know, it's very like similar in the way it is used, but then it's also like single purpose. So we're not seeing like repeated users come back all the time and ask different things in different ways. Like they're going through it and then they're entering and exiting the conversation. So I think it's kind of like where you deploy it is an important thing to think about. And then obviously, yeah, where if you're making changes, testing them, looking at them, or introducing like smaller volumes to see how that goes and see how it's working and all of that. before you're kind of like giving it to everyone, and then obviously making sure that you're like keeping an eye on what's happening from there.
So I would say, Anne, I agree with you on testing. I feel like the AI rush in the last year or two, kind of testing got left in the dirt. We were trying so hard to keep up with the latest that it really got neglected. And I'm proud to say testing's a big part of what we do in all my environments, whether it's the volunteer org or the university. Testing's super important. You've got to have those metrics be your North Star, and that shows you where you can dig in and do better, right? Those are opportunities. Hillary, I also feel the pain of HIPAA and PII and legal and how we're dealing with this in a way. I mean, some of that voice is ugly, because we have to include the, you're on a recorded call with maybe monitored, and it's going on, and it's like just, but it needs to be there. I think there's more tricky, fun ways to get around that with chat and AI now. Thank you. Go chat. But yeah, it's a pain point for sure. Like, how do we guardrails? Yay. Yes. Right. Love those guardrails. That's an opportunity to convince legal. And we're not attorneys. We're just convincing, persuasive. We're using our words to persuade them to please reconsider having this big chunk at the beginning, so that's always fun. I'm curious to learn, how are you guys dealing with that, right? Is there a way to do this better? Is it a hybrid? Is it the guardrails and persuasion and conversation design with leadership? How are you guys dealing with that?
I decided to work for myself. That's how I did it. There's no reasoning with leadership.
Avoid dealing with that.
Yes. Containment, right? Like, how many articles do we have to read about what a bullshit metric? Containment is a financial metric. It has nothing to do with the quality of the call. So for me, it was just like, and I always loved building smaller because I love the platforms more. I love the freedom. I love to be able to not have to contend with marketing saying, oh, but can't you just add this ad during this pause? No, I can't, right? You hire me as an expert and you still do what marketing and the business is asking you for. Oh, just don't even get me rolling on this.
Oh, and let's talk about comms since we're talking about marketing.
Yeah.
People, let's go, like, this is 3 steps back. But when you just said that, it reminded me of the designers who have negative things to say about bad bots, right? Agreed. There are more bad bots and bad drivers and bad golfers in the world, and, bad actors probably than we want to admit. But it's not, that's not the issue. That's not the issue. I'm having a senior moment. I forgot my why. So please talk.
It's a leadership issue.
It's a leadership issue. Thank you. But it's throwing, oh God, it's so frustrating. It's throwing spaghetti at the wall. And, understanding, like you said, having the reins and being able, that's so valuable to decide when we make contact or when people reach in, what we present them with as the options, not just spaghetti at the wall. It's really mind-boggling.
How about the harnesses? Like, what harnesses you put like first when you start making a cover, a chatbot or an agent?
Guardrails. I think.
Yeah, guardrails, harness, like to avoid it to go like beyond what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I think that's where I take the voice of leadership or the client and their legal teams, and you've got to give it the context there and set the boundaries, right? That's where our momming skills come in, ace and spades, because you're teaching it what to do and what not to do and why. Beyond that, it's very simple.
I'm sure you guys lived this experience right there with me. When Agentic started, or multi-agents, they're talking about our stuff like it's brand new. Context design. And how many times am I going to comment, this is not new. Conversation designers have been doing this for years. It's only new to you. And I feel like a bitch, but I don't care because we've been in these trenches. You guys have been in these trenches forever. And it's like, don't steal our stuff, man. We've been at this forever, right? Like, context design is, they're acting like they invented it. Like this is literally what we do. So Manaz, I think to answer, the harness is it comes from multiple places, right? You have legal, and then you have the business, and then you have marketing, and then you have the designers fighting for their lives to create something. And it has to, you know, and you guys can speak to this, the level of how technical you need to be in conversation design, I feel, has skyrocketed. Maybe some companies have people who write and that's their main job, but generally, and at least in my experience at enterprise, I'm building workflows all day. And the workflows that I build are the harness, right? Like the safety, the all the things. Like there's so many different things. Curious if you, Hillary and Cynthia, have noticed the change in the expectation to be more technical than you've ever been now.
100%. I think Hillary felt that when she came back from maternity leave. And I love that you brought your mother in, Hillary, when you were sharing earlier, because I think of my parents all the time, and I think of it as designing for silver sneakers. If they can use it, then I'm winning, right? Then everyone can use it. If the person with the quadriplegic with the mouthpiece can use it, you know, I'm winning, because these experiences have to be as seamless for everybody in the room. That's my North Star. And Hillary, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and also thinking about the hardest thing and kind of like where do you start, is like everything needs to start as simple as possible. And like we start, because like I'm on the, you know, sales side of things as far as like what our experiences are about as opposed to support. We start with like, when someone calls your call center, what do you say? Like, what is your script? Like, we start with scripts. We start with sales scripts. And in the past, it was easy for me to just convert that right into, you know, a chatbot script, but it is still guiding that. And I think like the strategies are still the same of like, what problem are you trying to solve? Like, what's your use case? What are the do's and don'ts? I like, in my case, I have a lot more, rules because I design for SMS. So we have to follow the carrier's rules. We have to include the ugly text block at the beginning and the opt-outs and everything. And like, there's no way around that. That's just the way it is. And we just have to accept it until they tell us that we don't have to, and all of that. But yeah, we start with what's existing, you know, what's existing. And then how do you build on top of that? And then it is something that I feel like even now, like getting more technical and everything, like I've always dreamed of this like shared language between engineering and design, and I still don't really feel like we have that. I think we're getting closer now that we can use some of the same tool set, but like I certainly am not a technical person at all. I've improved my skills, but like not really. And I do think that there's still like a black box that exists between design and engineering that is where things are actually created, that unless you really like get your technical skills, that's impenetrable for you. And otherwise too, I think that the engineers, like, they don't quite know how to talk, like how does changing this prompt do this, and like why can't you just add on top, and like all those types of things. I think we're still asking for that kind of like shared language, probably.
I love that you're talking about language. I actually wanted to share something that came up in one of my morning meditations the other day, but totally agree. It's challenged us. It's forced us. And I had an honest check-in with myself. I'll be totally honest and transparent. That's how I roll. Like, do I want to continue at this crux? Do I want to invest in the upskilling that it's going to take to survive in the next decade before I retire? Like, is this worth it to me? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Right? So TMI, I do daily meditations and sunrise ceremonies. This is a fantastic Cherokee book. And this word came up for me, you guys, and I'm learning. I think Cherokee will be the last language I learn, and really, really with intention. So this word popped out at me, and it's Uyeluduvi, and it means real purpose. Okay, so every word we speak, conversation designers, everything we believe, our consciousness makes us who we are. Right? So it says that we are as unlimited as we think we are. why, you haven't asked me why I do this. I do this to help people. I've always done it to help people. I'm helping end users. That's always my why. And I'm sure it's yours too, right? So whether they're students or customers or client, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. We're using technology now in new and exciting ways, but it comes down to that real purpose, right? And so I talk about consciousness a lot in podcasts and different speaking opportunities I earn. And I think it's incredibly important that we're balancing this conversation with that divine feminine. And they're like, ooh, what does that mean? Well, it means a lot. It means bringing that empathy and bringing this voice, bringing our knowledge into the conversation. And that is how you get the juicy flows. That is how you get the non-crappy bots. That is how you get the wisdom. And that is where the intersection of upskilling with technology and bringing the best of what we do and who we are, exists. Like, that's, to me, that's what it's all about. That's what it's exciting. I want to sit down and have a drink with Anne in 9 years in Budapest and be like, girl, we did it. What was your favorite thing? What sucked the most? That's like episode 8,000, Joaquin and Manaz. So hang on.
Yeah.
I just imagined that. That was so good.
I was right there. I was like, I don't even drink, and I'm drinking today.
Give to our story and say peace out.
It's interesting though, because I think that line between design and development is because it's less of a wall and more of a veil now. And I was in my mentor, Rupa Chaturvedi. I was in one of her classes, and they were working on design systems, and you can see that it was a show and tell. So it was all different people, all different practices. The designers who are not technical, you could see the worry, right? Because a lot of people have become designers because we're visual and we're pattern people and maybe language, but we're not coders, right? I've taken one coding class a year for the last 20 years. I despise sitting and writing code. Despise it. Give me crayons, give me shapes and colors, and let me, I'm an artist. Let me, and also usability, right? Like I want you to have the most amazing experience. I could do service design, and I can plot, and I can see where the problems will be before they start, and come from that place of that kind of design. But now that I can code with AI, and I know how to code through spec-driven development and to generate code that's pretty quality, I feel like the gloves are off and I can do anything now. And I have been doing more than I ever could. But in enterprise, or even on a project with 10 people, it's really awkward now, right? Like there's a whole, in the sense of people, the layoffs are making things crazy when your stakeholders are like, yeah, we're the current, team X, and you're here rebuilding our thing with AI. Are we going to get laid off now? So I just think there's structure changes happening on the job while you're working, and it creates real strained conversations. And so I'm getting to the point of, if you could be developer and designer, would you, and are you already kind of taking some steps in that direction? No. Okay, cool.
I'll never be a developer. I mean, I have the privilege to not need to be, but my brain will never work that way. And I am very grateful that I have people in my company whose brains work that way and will never work the way mine does. And I think that what has kind of happened, I think, is that where maybe a few years ago we thought we'll need to have more designers on the team, now we can not have as many, and not have as many people, period. But I think that it's like, it still is a balance. And because the thing that I notice the core difference between designers and developers is that developers do not understand users like at all. They understand functionality and they understand, does this work? Yes, no. They understand we need this to be better. We need the quality of the messages to be better. We need the latency to be less. We need the time to be less. We need it to, you know, respond this way and use this model. And they know a lot about that, but they don't know about user behavior and patterns. And I don't know that if you ask any developer if they want to become more like better at writing and more creative and more think more about the users, like they would probably say no as well. You know, I think they're lucky that they can lean on the skills that they have that are so in demand right now, but both are so necessary. And I know there are like rock stars out there like you, Anne, who can do both, and people who can do and use both sides of their brain that way. But like I'm not, I just will admit that like it's just not a thing that will make sense to me, and perhaps tooling will allow for that. But I do just think that it's like you need two experts. Like you just need that if you really want to have a successful experience. Like you need to have both sides considered, and evals even alone, like those are measuring development metrics. Like they're not measuring user patterns, user behaviors. And so like that we can't operate and never think about the end user like when we're creating these experiences.
Hillary, so you're exactly speaking into what I just said a minute ago, right? About the full circle. We've got the logical represented right now. That's what created a lot of the arguably bad bots. So make it direct, make it quick, make it this. And now where everything you bring to the table makes it juicy. All right, and that makes it a good experience, right? So don't diminish the fact that you're not technical. That's okay, but lean in and play. I would encourage you and embrace that, because that is what is in need of being represented right now, right? It's a shame, Anne, that so many are not upskilling or leaning into it. I'm vibe coding and I'm proud of it, and people think it's dorky, but screw you, because I am making things like my team gives me just enough breadcrumbs, and it's not like they'll sit with me on Slack and huddle and show me how to do it. No, I have to figure it out myself. And that's where I have these epiphanies, like, and I get these dorky messages to them. This was the best week ever, you know, at the end of the struggle, you know, my CIO says, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel and it's not a train. I love that line, right? And so it's a North Star shining, and it can be. But I think the takeaway is, if we build anything with fear, we're going to get fear. If we build AI with fear, if those designers who are feeling that fear, they design with fear, we're going to scale with fear, right? But if we build AI with wisdom and we build, we'll scale with wisdom, right? So whatever your wisdom is and whatever feels true to you, build with that and lean into it. And like, you're smart. Have smart people around you who compliment you in ways, because we don't do it all. I know how I'm scary enough to put some JSON in here. I understand APIs, and don't ask me to do Python. Like, I know my boundaries right now. Okay. It's like my amazing prompt, JSON, API, and my amazing prompt. You know, like that's the whole sandwich, people.
Yeah. Yeah, you still need to ask.
So
what?
So Manaz can write Python.
Yes, yeah, so Manaz, I know. I'm telling you, my volunteers do Python. Like, that's why I've got dev teams and other teams, and just empowerment. It's all about coming together with your strengths and figuring it out together to determine that direction. Yes.
And even for vibe coding, you need to still like ask the smart questions and be mindful, as you said, and so to be able to do that, even like that's also a skill to learn and get better at. And like, speaking of questions, I want to ask our audience to ask their questions in the comments, and we'll be answer them at the end, last 5 minutes. But yeah, let's continue.
Okay. In the meantime, so Agentics, multi-agents, chief of staff running my whole business. Thoughts?
Do you
like for internal?
I mean, just in general, the hype, like there's, are you implementing multi-agent systems within like in your work that isn't your personal work, like your work for your big companies? Are you implementing multi-agent systems, or do you feel like there's just so much hype around it? Or I just want to the multi-agent stuff. I mean, I think I deployed my first swarm a year and a half ago, but that's only because I'm around the Agentic Foundation guys, and they have been 2 years ahead of everybody, and I'm like over there just catching their crumbs and running with them. But if you look online, on LinkedIn, it makes it seem like everybody and their mother is a multi-agent system expert, running this, running that, doing that. And I'm not. None of my enterprise projects were ever even remotely close to running multi-agent systems. So I'm curious what your experience has been.
Same. Until recently, we're about to launch our first, and I kicked and screamed and dragged my feet learning LangSmith and LangChain and LangGraph. I call it the Langs. It was just not my environment. It was not where I wanted to live, but it was the new reality of where a tool that I needed to, Manaz was laughing, that I needed to learn and roll with. And so again, you bootstrap, you figure it out. And I haven't, it's not been released, but it's coming very, very soon. And I'm testing it, and we are testing it, and I'm loving the performance. I'm loving the, yes, and the engineers are working out the latency, but we're even finding creative ways to make that work for us. So any lag, it's exciting, and you'll have to invite me back to tell you how it went.
Yeah,
but I'm not an expert. I'm just figuring it out with the rest of the world, to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Hillary?
We'll do that. Yeah, Hillary.
Yeah, we have not launched any, but we definitely have plans of things that we're working on. That this quarter has kind of like been a lot about for us, and especially thinking about all of the different jobs to be done within, like what it takes to. This is very boring. What it takes to like write an insurance policy. So what it takes to acquire a user, quote them, like all the steps of that, and how to sort of interconnect that, and where humans are needed for licensing, and how we can kind of like approach those jobs. But I do have to say too, I have not been seeing people saying they're experts in it, but I completely believe that is what's happening. And I think a lot of pipe dreams are kind of out there as far as these like deployments go. And even at the enterprise level, like I think a lot of times, even back to when I was consulting for major enterprise brands, like what they were thinking something was going to be was like completely not even a reality whatsoever. Like you can talk about things, and like I am a marketer, so like I can certainly present things in a way that make them sound like they are the best and working and having all these results and everything, and it all is just like wrapping paper, So I don't know that like people need to be, again, like have a fear that they might be behind in that. I think a lot of what we have been working on too is like building our own internal tools and building our own internal like multi-agent and things that we can try it first. We can be more flexible, and we can try it first on our own things and create our own, workflows and create our own agentic employees and things like that before, and knowing how it goes. But again, too, like I'm working with people who have been building AI for like 10 years, and there's not a lot of those types of people out there. So for the general population to be like saying that they're doing that, like it is very highly unlikely. I'm sure they have plans and goals and a lot of marketing speak as well. But I think we'll continue to see that for sure. And I think it will go through the same iterations. It will not be great. It will be broken for weird reasons. It will, go back a few steps, and there still will be core of things that people build that aren't that.
Yeah, I agree. Spot on. I think a lot of people just say things to get clicks. It's, like I started Agentics 3 months ago, and now I'm an expert.
Yeah.
A lot of
well,
that.
And it's like, what does that mean? What, like for what they're saying, are they just using vocabulary that they aren't fully understanding, or like something like that. Like, I think
Probably.
Yeah. I think it probably is a lot of that too, you know.
A lot of this.
Yeah.
A lot
So
of
at the end of July, I have the unbelievable privilege of sort of presenting my, I don't know if thesis is the right word, on where I think everything is going design wise in the, in the next few years. We're in the very messy middle right now. And one of the things that kind of the key thing is my whole thing is the right interface or the right modality at the right time based on context, task, and cognitive load. And people think it's a pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream anymore. We had Josh Clark on the other day. He wrote a book about adaptive UI. This is a long build up to get to the point of asking you what you think future wise, multimodal. I think multimodal is kind of the future of a huge chunk of our work. Do you agree? And are you kind of getting your toes wet in other areas outside of chat and voice? And if so, what are you learning? And if not, do you plan on getting your feet wet in other areas, more multimodal? The vision, I think vision is going to come at us. Just in general, as far as multimodal goes, are you upskilling, and what are your thoughts?
Yes, I'm upskilling. I'm learning how to create a supervisor agent. And then I think of that as an umbrella, like my hat, right? This is the everything. This is the brain. And then my little sub agents all sit underneath it. Like if you look at a string of planets, and how do they connect, and how do they pass seamlessly and communicate to each other? It's like in the world I may not live to see, we will be speaking with our minds. I'm sure of it. If we don't burn it all down first. There's a happy thought. And so all right. But that's where I'm at, and I can vibe where it's going, right? It's going to be and quantum. We haven't even talked about quantum. Where is quantum going to come in with multimodal? There are switches that are going to be flipped very soon, y'all. And this conversation is going to feel archaic and so outdated.
In a year, 6 months.
Yeah. And we're not talking about the quantum or the 3D or the 5D or the whatever D, double D. I don't know. So all of this has to be said. And great question. That's where I am today. That's where I think we're headed tomorrow. What lies in between is, for me, an environmental question, right? How do we mindfully manage and balance this advancement? That's really, aside from the buzzwords and the deep thoughts relevant to our lane, there's a bigger idea behind the mindfulness that I'm creating and co-creating these experiences with. So that's pretty much it for me. I hope that gave you some idea of where I'm at. And yes, I'm into upskill and continue this wild ride, this big idea.
Cool. Hillary, you want to take it?
Yeah, same. Definitely, trying to upskill things. And I think a lot of the, kind of master head agent or whatever with all of the others underneath is similar ways to sort of thinking about it. But even multimodal, at its origination. So thinking about, going from SMS to voice. Voice is something that I hadn't even touched until this year. This is my 9th year in the field. I refuse to ever do it. I don't really enjoy it as much as the rest of people seem to. It's not really my end goal, which I think a lot of people it is. But thinking about starting an SMS, passing off to voice, passing back to SMS, how all of that works. It makes a lot of sense now, where I think before, thinking about you start in an app and then you get a text message and then you get a phone call and then you go back, that all was confusing and hard and had a lot of opportunities to drop people and everything. And there still is that. I think I'm more interested in kind of solving the gaps in between. So when people are switching from one thing to another and they do drop off, why is that? They were interested, like what happened to them? Like where did they go? How do we get them back? And like thinking about all the ways to solve those problems is a huge amount of work now. That is like a huge opportunity that we haven't quite figured out how to solve. And I think just notifying them in other places is like not really the way to do it. So there has to be something else. And that's a problem that I don't think is being solved by another piece of technology. Like it's being solved by language and it's being solved by feelings and things like that.
It's being solved by listening. You said it earlier when you said, I'm working with voice and my clients are giving me scripts. And it used to be easy to translate those scripts into dialogue, right? Static.
Yeah.
I feel like what I learned this year with a vendor, we use Bland AI. I learned this incredible technique, which was listen to all the calls in Full Story, or however you're listening to all the calls. Listen to all the calls for what's not being said. Listen for what's in between, right? Listen for the gaps. And if you can be an active listener in voice, Hillary, then I feel like you have now you've leveled up. Now you're really in tune. It's not just the obvious. It's what lies, but it's what is often unsaid. And you can hear it in the inflection and the tone and the tension or the frustration, right? And if we really lean into those micro moments, then we have a hell of a better chance of keeping them right where we want them. And then using what we're so good at to really, truly help them or escalate and get them to me, who, people, don't be scared that it's coming for your jobs. Adopt or adapt, or get really fucking good at what you're good at. Become a SME in what you do, because you may be the human in that loop at the end of it, but there won't be as many of you SMEs at the end of those calls. We will need the best of the best. So I would encourage you to, whatever your role is in this world, get really, really clear and really good at what you do, because you will have a place at the table. We need you, whatever that is. Okay, I'm done channeling.
Thanks, Cynthia. That was very heartwarming for me right now that I've been laid off and like looking for another role. So that makes me like excited to improve myself and go there again.
Yeah, and always happy in this circle. One of the things I love about you, Anne, is you're a baddie, number one. Love a baddie. Number two, you empower and lift people up. And Hillary, same. When we see job opportunities, Anne's like, I'm not looking. Here, everyone, take it.
I apply all the time just to see how bad it is out there, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
But not, it's like, it's all about lifting people up. Nonsos in the chat, I saw one of my volunteers at Help Now, like helping others. Like, it's all about the network. And, my clock is ticking. I won't be doing this forever. I have other goals. But while I'm here, it's all about reaching down and lifting the next person up. So I think there's a lot of doing that in our little community globally. And I love that about us. So I'm going to reach out after if there's anyone in my network, anything. I'm absolutely happy to connect you and anyone who's listening. That's how we roll.
Can you read my shirt, Cynthia?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, let's
root for each other.
Aww.
That's for you guys today. And I think if we all treated everybody else and just lifted each other as high as we could, as we'd want, if everybody practiced that practice, we'd never have to worry about ourselves. And that's like just a core belief. And that's, I just try and get after it and help as many people as I can. And I always jokingly say, when I'm 75 and I still want to work, somebody I helped as a junior might give me a job. So,
I will give you a job.
Doesn't matter if she's 80. Like, she's been around, but that's okay. No, I really believe that, especially among the women in the space, because the bros have each other, and that's fine. Have each other, but we we should be taking care of each other for sure.
Tech bros and empowered hoes, whatever.
Put that on a t-shirt. We have 1 minute left. Would you guys like to promote anything that you're working on and push any people in any directions?
Oof. Real quick, I'll take half of it. Thanks. Help Now is the volunteer organization. We're caught in this limbo with this current administration. Sounds like I'm rapping now. NGO status is not easy to come by, so I'm not going to say we are when we aren't. But we appreciate your donations. We are currently pivoting this morning in our stand-up to help support Arizona, and there's a lot of fires happening in state and around surrounding states. So taking our MVP from Los Angeles and what we learned with the wildfires last January, and using verified data and the best of everything we've spoken about today to help people. Hillary?
I love that. I don't have anything specific to promote, I guess. Would love to connect with anyone on LinkedIn who is listening. And if you're looking for a job, I'm always happy to help people and connect with people. I don't currently have anything out, but we are working on launching our own podcast at MAV with myself and my husband, Matthew, who's our founder. So keep an eye on my LinkedIn if you're interested in learning about the future of AI at work and what it's like to work at MAV and be there. So I would love to connect with anyone who is interested.
And shout out to Swarm. Shout out to Swarm for creating this space.
Yeah. Well,
King
of quality.
And it's amazing.
He really cares about quality people and quality output. So hopefully we gave that to everybody today. I don't have anything I'm promoting except for voiceofai.io. I built it for y'all. So if you're interested in upskilling, it's out there for you for free. Other than that, all I can say is thank you. I wish we could all go out to lunch now. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this is my parting thought. I'm going to do a post. I have a spreadsheet with 200 women that work in AI. I have all their LinkedIns, and I'm going to do a post, and I'm going to tag every big AI company out there who is keeping us under wraps and not letting the women who work in AI speak in the media. And I'm going to tag all of you, and I'm going to tag all the women, and I am going to request the biggest, baddest Women in AI conference the planet has ever seen. Anthropic and OpenAI, I'm looking at all of you to fund this thing so we can finally get our day in the sun. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I've got.
Love that.
We'll talk lists. We'll make sure that all the people in the OpenAIs are represented and the Fei Lees of the world. Like, let's bring them all together for this one, Ann. I got you.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.